the day on which two of the greatest sons of Ma Bharati were born. One, Mahamana Pandit Madan Mohan Malaviya ji, who dedicated his entire life for building this nation. His whole life was a tapas. Another, our former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee, who made the country proud because when we were being blackmailed by the powerful countries, he made India a Bharat, declared it as a nuclear power. We had demonstrated the capacity in 1973, but somehow we didn't have that boldness in our heart to declare it, yes, here we are, we have it. And don't try to be funny with us. But Vajpayee did it. And of course, he gladly, the whole country gladly, not only stood by him, but we faced the consequences, which was only short-lived, which made us stronger, which made us more resolute. And look at where we are today. Friends, Malaviya ji, he was such a great divine personality. For us, we are too small to talk about him, to describe him, because we will only be able to describe a facet of his life. He was much, much bigger. The person who steered the course of national freedom movement at a very crucial time, was elected 4 times the President of Indian National Congress. The person who, facing all the odds of the British, created this great institution of which the whole country, Bharat, is proud, which is Banaras Hindu University. An university with a vision, unlike others, a vision to rebuild Nalanda, rebuild Takshashila. A blend of a spiritual wisdom and science and technology. An institution where a student would come out imbued with the wisdom of the past, a spiritual wisdom of the past, which is wisdom of Bharat, and also equipped with the latest in the science and technology, which gives you the material muscle in the world today. And with a vision that with they combine the two, you have a vision for Bharat. But Bharat was for a long, long time before it was trampled by the invaders and colonizers, to regain the glory of this great nation. I'm happy and thankful to BHU Alumni Association to organize the event, to remember him. I know that a BHU student, no student of BHU will ever forget him. But was it to be confined only to BHU? Is it only that the BHU Alumni Association or BHU student alone should remember him? Why is it that such a great son of Ma Bharati was slowly erased from the memory of the national consciousness? Why did it take for the country, for a Prime Minister like Prime Minister Modi to come in 2014 and respect him and honor him with Bharat Ratna? Why was it not recognized? Was it because He was against appeasement? Was it because he set up Banaras Hindu University and in anxiety for appeasement, any decoration, any official honor to him would have been construed otherwise? It's something which is not only bewildering, but something which torments the soul of the nation. After the British left, the nation took a different course away from the direction in which it was moving during the national freedom movement. Why did Malaviya ji created the BHU? And that's very, very relevant to think of, to ponder over the context, the time frame, the background, the backdrop in which this institution came up. Why did he think of it? We know that this great country, with such a proud civilizational heritage, was ravaged, was destroyed for hundreds and hundreds of years, nearly 1,000 years. And when the British came, they systematically began destroying the very soul of Bharat, the very identity of Bharat. Try to infuse a sense of inferiority complex in every Bharatiya, that you are someone inferior. And infusing a sense of superiority towards European, the British and other Europeans. It's not that they were not aware of the great civilization of this country. In fact, they succeeded so much in weakening our sense of self, the sense of our pride in our nation, in ourself, in our ancestors, in our heritage, so much so that even after the British left, and even today, we seek validation of something that we have done and we have achieved if someone in the West tells. When the British began colonizing this country in the later part of the 18th century, after the Battle of Plassey, when they captured Bengal, a large number of British academicians, scholars, they descended on this country, Bharat, because they had heard about the rich wisdom of this place. They had heard largely through Germans and others, those who had come, they had those who had studied, and they had carried the tales of the ancient wisdom of this great country. So they descended, a large number of them. At the time, of the three centers of excellence in UK, Oxford, Cambridge, and Edinburgh, Edinburgh was more curious at that point of time. A set of intellectuals came, set of professors came, like Professor Adam Ferguson, Robertson, Playfair, McNaughey, a whole team. They kept coming mid-60s, 1765 onward. They kept coming and visiting and seeing. And they were completely overwhelmed by what they found here. And then they wrote a letter to the British government. Actually, it was not the government direct, But they had created the board of control for the company because they realized that now it was the time for them to control the company from behind. So board of control, the president, Henry Dundas, who was a very influential politician, to whom this band of professors wrote a letter signed by Professor McNaughey in March 1788. It is available on the net, you can check it. In the letter, the professor says that this country is so rich in philosophy, in science, technology, so much knowledge is there that you must discover where they are located, those texts, collect, take it, and translate. Discover, collect, and translate all the materials that exist there in this land. And then they write, because it will help us. It will not only enrich the European thought process. That was the time for Renaissance, intellectual Renaissance in Europe. They say it will enrich the European thought process. Not only it will enrich the European thought process, but it will also enrich and expand the science, mathematics, astronomy. These are the words that they've used. It will help us, then further he writes, it will help us to know about the celebrated people. Celebrated people. And then he said, he refers to Hindus. Celebrated people, Hindus, from whom Moses received his learning and Greek their art and religion. Moses came 1,000 years before Jesus. This was the admission by the British scholars themselves that this was the civilization of this place. Moses received his learning and Greek their art and religion. And then the process began, collecting. And then they realized that if they had to rule this country, they must, these proud people, the people who are inheritors of such rich philosophy, rich tradition, rich heritage, rich institutions, they must kill their sense of self. They must. And that, as a matter of design, as a matter of policy, through their education policy, their policy to kill the indigenous education system. And by teaching fabricated and concocted history of this country in their schools and colleges run by them. Because other institutions were systematically closed. They tried to infuse that sense of inferiority, to kill the sense of selfhood, the pride. And they succeeded to a great extent. The process was on. And it was the beginning of the 20th century that a person, a great person like Mahamana realized that British rule was, the end was not in sight. The first war was over. Things were all okay. British were victorious. There was nothing to worry about it. He thought that while the freedom movement to take a long time, one doesn't know how long, they must do something to preserve the spiritual wealth of this country. And when he says about a spiritual wealth, he was not. Today people, they feel inhibited when they talk about Hindus. I don't know whether today anybody would have the courage. Of course, till the other day, anyone would have the courage to have it like that. But he did. Because when you say Hindus, the ancient Shastras, the knowledge, the wisdom, it is not parochial. It is not excluding. It doesn't say that you and us and they. We talk about we. Because this civilization is based on a darshan, a philosophy, that the whole world is a family. Mama Atma Sarva Bhutatma. Sab, we are all. There is no other. So this is all inclusive. This rich heritage must be preserved. And a dharmic way of life must be restored. It must not be allowed to perish. And that is how he was very clear about it. That in the curriculum, while the spirituality was taught, he was also very conscious of the fact that Bharat must be ahead in material science. Because what the Europe had at the time, imagine, power of a steam engine and gunpowder, they conquered the whole world. Colonized it, exploited it with these two technologies, a steam engine and gunpowder. You cannot be left behind in the matter of technology. And so he was very clear that he would set up an institution, educational institution, which will inculcate the values, sanskar, the wisdom of the past, and also equip the students with the necessary requisite knowledge in science and technology needed for seeding this nation, seeding this country with industries, bring the industrial revolution on this very land. Because it was the industrial revolution that had given that much power to Europe at the time. With that intention, he created it. Unfortunately, after he left, attempts were made to forget him. Because after independence, the direction in which the country moved was away from what it was supposed to be. What made this whole diverse great country as one, as Bharat, was this Sanatan Hindu philosophy, the darshan, that unites everyone, that doesn't distinguish anyone. There is no concept of you and I, it is we. It doesn't tell about you must follow this, otherwise you have no right to be here. There is no my way or highway, every way is a highway. This is this great, such all-embracing, all-inclusive, mind-boggling. In fact, much later, Sri Aurobindo, at the time of independence, he wrote his dreams, where he said that now the time has come for Bharat to fulfill her destiny. Because he said that in this whole planet, why this wisdom that the whole creation is a family came only on this land? Why didn't it come anywhere else? Was it accidental? He said no. It was providential. It was designed by the divine. This is a punya bhumi. This is not, one of the speakers mentioned about Atalji saying about, this is not a piece of geography. या जमीन का टुकड़ा नहीं. It is not a piece of geography. Bharat is not a geography, which the Europeans, the British tried to make us and the world believe. So much so that at the time when independence came and when it was being partitioned and so many princely estates were to be made independent countries, and there were some people in Britain who asked that what would be the future of this moth-eaten country when you have within the country you have more than 560 independent countries. Will it survive? And then Winston Churchill, who hated this country, he said, why? India is a geographic expression. Like equator. You cut it into 1,000 pieces, it remains a part of equator. Doesn't matter. Let it break. It is not a geography. It is Punya Bhumi. This knowledge, this realization which came since the time of Vedas, at least that is what we know, that the whole creation is a family. We are all connected. And increasingly science today is proving it, that every element of creation shares some part of it with every other element of creation. Increasingly we are coming to realize this with modern scientific tools. But this realization came to this land. So, this Punya Bhumi, about which Mahakavi Bharati again said, when he said, Vedam ulayad in the nad, nala virar pirind in the nad, chedam illad Hindustanam, ida Daiva Mendru, kumbitadi papa. Yeah, Devi, this is Devi. It is not a piece of land. Land is transactional. Territory is transactional, which the previous government did. China captured, Pakistan captured. One prime minister, out of generosity, gave a Kawa Valley to Burma. One prime minister thought Kachadevi, gave it to Sri Lanka. No, it was all everything going. Where is the land? The essence, the Bharat. Bharat is not a geography. It is a living entity. It is a divine land. So Sri Aurobindo said that this is a divine land, Punya Bhumi, and this, now that the Bharat is independent, this light which is on Bharat, it must be spread to the whole world, rest of the world. So this philosophy, this darshan, this Sanatana Adhyatma has to spread to the whole world. And this is the destiny or divinely mandated duty of Bharat. It is not for Bharat alone. This light must spread to the whole world. Now, Mahamana was conscious of it. And that is how he, to preserve what was being destroyed while independence was not in sight, and to produce Bharatiyas equipped with both. What he says, Agrata Sakalam Sastram Prishtha Sasara Dhanu. Ahead in all the knowledge, and equipped with the Dhanu, power. After independence, we changed. We, in our zeal to become overly, with the policy of appeasement, we became overly secular. European secularism. And we started purging the government. I remember in my childhood, when I was in school, we used to study in our text, in our classes, high schools, we used to study Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavatam, all these things, texts we used to study about it. Systematically purged out. In our school, we used to have prayers. in our high school. Before the classes begin the day, students all assemble and say prayers. So the prayer used to be, Hey Prabhu, Anand Data, Gyan Hamko Dijiye, Lijiye Apne Sharan Mein Hum Sadachari Bane. Brahmachari, Dharma Rakshak, Veer, Vratadhari Bane. As every student is taught to be a guardian, a protector of the Dharma. And in the course of that, the person dedicates himself or herself. All these systematically burst out. Dharma, talking about Dharma became something like an offense. People start raising their eyebrows. You are talking about. In fact, when I came to Tamil Nadu as governor, one of my earlier predecessors, he visited and he found there is a garden named Lakshmi Garden. So, Lakshmi Garden in Rajbhavan, is it not a secular place? Look at this, look at the thought process. We are looking at Lakshmi in terms of communal eye. What defines this country? What defines Bharat? If we remove all these, where is Bharat? It is such people who say, who are we? Some are Chinese, some are African, some are Negroes, some are all. Recently we heard someone talking about it. It is such, they don't understand what this country, what this nation is, what Bharat is. Systematically. And as a result, what happened? At the time, despite all the exploitation by the colonials, at the time of independence, we were the 6th largest economy in the world. And by 2014, we dipped down to 11th position. We became poorer. We started, since right from the beginning, in Bharat, which is essentially a Rashtra, is more than a political state, it always believed, and its strength was the empowered citizenry, the people. The people must be empowered. Every village is empowered. And government role is limited. Defense, adjudication, major disputes. Let people be empowered. What we started doing after independence? And in that spirit, our constitution was made. A constitution was made to empower the people of this country, Bharat ke log. That is written, embedded in the very preamble of the constitution. But then, our governments started making the people dependent more and more on the state, on the government. So much so that people lost their pride, their self-confidence, every matter. If there is a ditch in front of my house on the road, I will write a petition to the government. Look, here it is. It should be filled up. Why can't we do it? As a student, high school student in my village, when the rice cultivation season came, and we had to clean, desilt the tributary, so every villager, I have also participated in that, took the tools, implement, and we did collectively clean the whole, a couple of kilometers long tributary, which comes from the main canal, the water that takes the water to the field. We didn't go to the government, we didn't write a petition, the whole village did it. We had village pond. Every year, the village would collectively get together and desilt the pond before the rains so that the water is preserved. But systematically, that sense of pride, the sense of confidence was eroded, and people were made to depend more and more on the government. The government started becoming more and more powerful, and people got weaker and weaker. Now, this is not Bharat. This is not what Bharat was and Bharat meant to be. As a result, we continued becoming poorer. Even after 7 decades of independence, we were home of the largest number of sick and poor people in the world, in this country. The villages without light, homes without light, villages without connectivity, without drinking waters. Essentials of life were not available. And we kept talking about socialism, socialist, Garibi Hatao, remove poverty. It became a political slogan. This country, which used to, at some point of time, enjoy a place of pride, became an object, an entity which everyone started preaching. So many countries started advising, this is how you must do, this is what you must do. We were nowhere, just a populous country. Until 2014, a visionary leader for the first time, such a leader that comes once in a lifetime or perhaps once in a yuga, Narendra Modi came. The person who understands in whose blood, in whose every element of his body, he knows what Bharat is. And look, he started leading the nation. Leading the nation by empowering the people. Every scheme, every project, Jan Bhagidari, people's participation. Simple example. Till 2014, 60% of our people used to go for open defecation. Come out in the morning, go out driving on the road, you find people going with some bottle or something in the field. Nobody talked about it. There is a cultural issue. Cultural issue, open defecation. But with people's participation, within 5 years, we became open defecation free. You don't see the sight. The country which was nowhere in the domain of science and technology, we were the trailers. We had good institutions. We had ITs. We had aims. But they were just passing on a borrowed knowledge which was created somewhere else. There was no thrust on research and innovation. In terms of intellectual property, we were nowhere, not in the reckoning at all. Today, we are among the top 3 in innovations, in startups. Who is doing this? It is being done by our young men and women. Because we trust the people. Government job is not to control the lives of people. Unless people, every citizen is empowered. And that empowerment can come only when you remove the obstacle and create the conducive atmosphere and trust in that person. A simple thing. Tax evasion. Until 10 years back, we had hardly 2 crore people who were paying direct income tax. Today, the number is more than 10 crores. From where they came? Voluntarily, people are coming forward. You trust the people. Our people, inherently, they are good. But if you don't trust them, all these distortions will begin. People will start evading taxes. They have no confidence in you. You have no confidence in me. People have no confidence in you. That's all, as simple as that. Trust. Trust. From 11th economy, an economy which used to be called by economists who had created Hindu rate of growth, that this is how India will grow, Bharat will grow. Today we are the fastest growing large economy in the world. We are already the 5th largest, and everyone except the world acknowledges that in the next 3 to 4 years, we are going to be the number 3 economy in the world. No one can stop it. From being at the margin of the world affairs, we are at the center of the world affairs. From a time when our voice was not heard, today, when Bharat speaks, when the Prime Minister of Bharat speaks, the whole world listens and listens with attention. From a time when we were irrelevant, today, most of the conflict in the world, people look to Bharat with hope and expectation that Bharat can bring about the reconciliation. Look at this, what is happening in the very case of this Russia-Ukraine war. Both the sides, they say, you do it. You can do it. That trust. Now, all these transformations which are happening, it are happening because you have a leader who understands Bharat, and you have a government which is following the vision of the leader and laying down the policies which are citizen-centric, people-centric. Earlier, our development was so uneven. There were relatively developed states, there were bimaru sick states. Even in the developed states, you had huge differences, unevenness. Why? Is it the way? No. So, development must be all-inclusive. Development must. When we say all-inclusive, it is not just to say that every house, even gender. For long we have been talking about women empowerment. It is a very condescending expression that you empower the women. Everyone, every householder knows that the core, the backbone of the house is the lady of the house. And yet we are talking about empowerment. You remove the obstructions, create the environment where they all come. You create the situations when you have no toilet. When you have no, for the drinking water, the lady has to go far off to get the water. For cooking food, she has to despoil her eyes, burning charcoal. She is not the owner of the house. Multiple ways, unless you create that environment. How do you talk about? You can talk about, as they kept talking about poverty. They kept talking about poverty and we continued becoming poorer. It's the first time in the last 10 years that 250 million people of this country, poor people, have been pulled out of poverty. 25 crores. In our own state, I looked into some data about mudra loan. You know, there is a small loan which they get collateral up to 10 lakhs, now it is up to 20 lakhs. People can get. In our state, till 2 months back, 101 crore 20 lakhs people had taken that loan. 1 crore 20 lakhs people of Tamil Nadu had taken mudra loan. And I have gone and visited the areas, rural areas, districts. I was amused and inspired, happy to see the women forming a small self-group, taking each of 5 lakhs, 2 lakhs, 4 lakhs, 10 lakhs, and doing this business. And my most unexpected surprise was when some people said that, sir, with mudra loan, I am running a jewelry shop. Now, how can you think of a jewelry shop with mudra loan? He says that, no, sir, 10 lakh rupees, buy 100 gram, 150 gram pure gold. And with that I make, and I sell it, and I again get the loan, get my money. It keeps circulating. I'm doing it, a small one. My family is happy, we are earning some money. Now imagine, enterprise. Enterprise, you are giving opportunity. This is New Bharat. This is the dream with Mahamana had, to create the Bharat. And this is with, on the one hand, we have a spiritual resurgence. On the other hand, we have in the field of science and technology were leading. Today, the campus in which we are sitting, IIT Madras, this institution is producing almost nearly 400 patents a year. 400 patents a year. Now this explosion in creating intellectual property, how did it happen? The students were before. Not that they were less intelligent, they were less bright. They were not. They were equally bright. But we didn't create the environment. Today, the same students are doing wonders in every sector. In a space sector, we have more than 300 startups. Think of it, it was. In every area, our people are doing wonders. This is because Bharat is being rebuilt with the idea of Bharat, with the strength of Bharatiya, not by the government. Because that government, that model, it doesn't suit this country. It is not in the gene of this country. But when we are growing and we are moving forward with a resolve that in the next 2.5 decades, this country will be a fully developed, self-reliant country. And we are confident that we will be. And the young people, of course, they would be at the helm of affairs at the time. There are challenges. And today, my friends, challenges are more than ever before. These are not challenges of our resources, no. We have plenty. Whether material or human resource, intellectual or material resource, there is no dearth of resource in our country. The challenges are coming from the hostile forces. When we have an independent foreign policy, we don't like to be guided by others. We will do what is in the best interest of Bharat and at the same time in the best interest of the world. Because Bharat has never been parochial. When we hosted the G20, look at this. For the first time, a large part of humanity, African Union, which was kept out, which was not in the decision making, it was brought in the table and made part of it. It was because of Bharat, because we don't believe that we are only we. We have to. The whole world has to be. And that is why the global South looks up Bharat as a leader to protect their interest. We made African Union as a member of G20. We demonstrated it at the time of the world most horrific pandemic. When the rich and developed countries, when they developed the vaccines, they started making money, our people. When we made it, we shared it with more than 150 countries in the world. So when there is a conflict between Russia and Ukraine, one side says join us, other side says, join us. Earlier our policy was, no, we will be non-aligned, we will not be anyone. No. You cannot remain non-aligned in the world today. You cannot be indifferent to what is happening in any part of the world, because that impacts the whole world. If some suffering is happening in one corner of the world, Bharat has to be concerned about it, because this is not Bharat to look the other way. So today, from not being with you or with you, and being non-aligned, there is a marked fundamental shift, paradigm shift. When Bharat said, look, we are not with you, we stand by peace. War and conflict is not a means of resolving a dispute. We outrightly reject it. There is a world of difference between saying we are non-aligned, so we will not look at you. Then we are looking at you and we want you, both of you, what you are doing is wrong. Both of you are wrong. Come along, resolve it by sitting on the table, talking to it. This moral strength that you get is being appreciated by the world around. Look, it took more than almost seven decades for an Indian Prime Minister to go to Israel. Because our people were scared, if you go to Israel, you will lose vote here, you will displease. Why? Why do you distrust the people, a section of people of our country? Why do you distrust? Why don't you believe that, no, they are equally Bharatiya, they have equal interest in the well-being of our country? This sick mind, it prevented a prime minister to go to Israel for almost 7 decades, until Prime Minister Modi went. So look, we took a position. Palestine as an state should be there. We believe in two-state solution. That's fine, but it should be there. That is our stated policy. And until Palestine comes into being, we will maintain our relation. Today we have the best of relations with Arab countries. In fact, on the one hand, people try to accuse the government of all kinds of lies. On the other hand, we have the best of relations with the countries which are supposed to be the custodian of those values. Why? People lacked confidence. Now, when this country is rising like this, all around, our foreign policy is like independent foreign policy. The countries who have so far treated you as their vassal, as the one who looked upon them, they will not be happy with you. The countries which looked at the world as a hegemon, dictating, those power will not be happy with you. When it comes to economic policy, you say we will be self-reliant. The countries which have so far treated Bharat as a market, will they be happy with you? They would like you to remain a market. They would like to consume whatever they produce. So all these forces, and the forces within which have profited from all kinds of sectarian politics, whether linguistic chauvinism, in the name of race, religion, language, region, they have tried to divide this country and ruled. The families have ruled. They feel threatened with the rise of this new Bharat. Look at this. There are people who want to divide it, caste and more caste. You see the list in Tamil Nadu, in our own state. You say OBC, the list goes page after page after page. How many OBCs are there? Endless. So you look into scheduled caste, more than 200 I have lost. Number of castes in this country have more than doubled since 1951. From where the new castes are coming? Number of tribes have multiplied. Now, friends, if you look at what is the difference, and if you do not look at what unites and keep you together, then if you only look at differences, we are all different here. There is no end to it. It's like a scale of a fish. No two scales are alike. No two leaves of a tree are alike. If you start looking at trees from the perspective of a leaf, the tree will cease to exist. That is not the way. People boldly say, no, caste must be empowered. They are the people. Such forces are big challenge to the rise of Bharat. Big lies are going to be a big threat. Lies. Constitution is in danger. Those who have spoiled and distorted the constitution for the sake of chair and power, they are the ones who are shouting at the rooftop, constitution is in danger. How do you tackle these lies? And here comes the role of youth for nation. Because it is the youth and youth alone, and enlightened youth, who can meet the challenge. They are not only just our future, they are the one who will ensure our bright future. They are the one who will ensure to achieve the target of Purna Vikshit, fully developed Bharat, is self-reliant Bharat. Youth for Nation, you have a big task before you. Going among the youth, visiting institutions, creating that awareness, the awareness which is our heritage from the past. And it is today, it has been rekindled by our Prime Minister, our national leader. A person who is, coming from a poor family, with no one behind him in his own family who can claim to be the inheritor of his property. The guy who lives round the clock only for the country, for the nation. This, with such a leader, which comes once in a lifetime. When we are moving forward, the awareness about the nation, the nation's goal, the nation's spirit, the rise of new Bharat, and the problems that we are going to encounter, challenges that we are going to face, our youth must be aware of it. They must be sensitized. They must be conscious. Our youth are not, unfortunately. We have a huge task before us. Some time back, I started a small, I won't call it camp, but a conclave for the youth of our universities, postgraduate and research PhD students. We called them to Raj Bhavan. We had a 2-day camp. Introduction of Bharat. When the students came, the first they were livid. Chancellor has said, Governor said, no option but to come. Vice Chancellor asked you to go, you come. But they were very unhappy. What is this man is going to do? But by the end of the first session means pre-lunch, post-lunch of the first very day, there was a change in their whole attitude, behavior. By the end of the first day, they came and said, we were not aware of it. And when it concluded, they came with a request, sir, you should organize more such camps. Awareness about Bharat, awareness about who we are and what all potentials we have, what is our national goal. And you, each one of you, because each one of you is our national asset. That person is not just a son or daughter of his or her parent or a member of his or her family. Each youth is a national asset. And that asset must blossom to the full potential to make this country great, to restore the glory of this country. So Youth for Nation, you have opened a chapter of Tamil Nadu, Puducherry. I wish you the very best. All. I'm sure with your effort, you will be able to rekindle the sense of pride among our people. Friends, once again, my respect to the great souls, the great sons of Bharat, both Mahamana and Atalji. We will ever be grateful to them for doing what they did to make this nation great, to build this nation. And it is our duty to take it forward and fulfill their dreams, which is already spelled out, a fully developed Bharat in the next 2.5 decades. And I am fully confident we'll do it. And in this, every one of us, old or young, has role to play. Because we are fortunate to be a witness of this transformation and at the same time, an agent of this transformation. Wherever we are, we have to bring about the change. I am sure we will achieve the change. Thank you very much. Jai Bharat.